Hello, my name is Olivia Grant, a 31-year-old lawyer living in a quiet suburb of Richmond, Virginia. But before I became the woman I am today, I was a girl shrouded in fear, where the echoes of shouts and the sting of bruises marked my childhood. My story begins in a sleepy coastal town in North Carolina, where quaint beach cottages lined sandy streets, and from the outside, my family seemed like a postcard of serenity. But behind closed doors, it was a nightmare. The sharp smell of stale beer clung to my mother's breath whenever she stormed into the house. She was a wiry woman with quick hands and a temper that burned without warning. My father, a soft-spoken man with weary eyes, tried to keep things calm, but it was never enough. When my mother drank, our little cottage became a war zone. The crash of breaking dishes, my father's quiet pleas, and my mother's sharp yells wove into a terrifying melody I couldn't escape. I was 6 when I first felt the weight of her hand. It was a chilly autumn evening, the ocean breeze rattling the windows. I'd knocked over a bowl of cereal, a silly mistake, but to her it was a crime. "You think you can ruin everything?" she snapped, her eyes wild. Before I could react, her palm struck my cheek, sending me stumbling. My father rushed to me, his arms a fragile shield. "Please, Laura, she's just a kid," he begged, his voice shaking. But she didn't stop. She yanked him away, and the sound of her slaps filled the tiny kitchen. I curled into a ball, hands over my ears, trying to drown out his cries. That night, after she passed out, my father mopped up the spilled cereal, his hands trembling. He sat on my bed, brushing my hair gently. "Olivia, you've got to be tough, okay?" he whispered, his voice breaking. "I'm sorry, I can't do more." I didn't understand why he apologized when he was the only warmth in our cold home. I hugged him, feeling his shaking frame, and promised myself I'd save him from the monster my mother had become. The years that followed. My mother lost her job at the local diner, and alcohol became her closest friend. She drank from dawn to dusk, and every time she was drunk, she found a reason to lash out at my father and me. Once, she shoved him too loudly, clutching a stuffed bear, praying the storm would pass. I hated myself for being too small to help him, hated my mother for turning our home into a prison, and sometimes hated the world for leaving us in this torment. When I was 8, my brother Noah was born, a tiny miracle in our shadowed world. Noah, with his wide eyes and bright giggle, brought a spark of joy to my father and me. Strangely, my mother was different with him. She never screamed at Noah, never touched him in anger. Instead, she was tender, even smiling when she held him. "You're my little star," she'd coo, her voice soft. I couldn't fathom why she was so cruel to us, but so gentle with him, and I was grateful Noah was spared our pain. But her kindness to him made me feel more alone. Once, when I broke one of Noah's toys by mistake, she slapped me so hard my head spun. "How dare you upset your brother?" she yelled. Noah cried, not for the toy, but because he saw me hurt. He toddled to me, but she pulled him away, soothing him as if I were the enemy. My father watched, helpless, his eyes brimming with tears. That night, he held Noah and me close, whispering, "I love you both no matter what. You'll always have me." But I knew he was breaking too. My childhood was a maze of fear and pain. I learned to tiptoe around my mother, to stay quiet when she drank, to hide my bruises from school friends. I didn't want their pity or for them to know my home was a battlefield. But seeing my father's fresh wounds tore at me. I dreamed of a day when I'd be strong enough to take him and Noah away from her. When I was 13, things worsened. My mother drank more. Her blows grew fiercer. Once, she struck my father so hard he collapsed, just for burning dinner. I screamed, "Stop, you'll kill him." But she turned on me, her eyes ice cold, and pushed me down. I lay there, watching my father struggle to breathe, my heart splintering. That night, when he stirred, he tried to smile. "Olivia, survive for me, for Noah," he said faintly. I nodded, but I knew if I didn't act, I might lose him forever. I began planning. I'd grow up, earn money, and take my father and Noah far away. I studied hard, hiding my scars at Seaside Middle School, telling myself education was my escape. But time felt like an enemy. My mother was unraveling, and I feared she'd go too far. At 16, while my classmates worried about prom or soccer games, I lived in dread, wondering if today she'd push my father past his limit. Our cottage felt like a powder keg. I overheard her arguing with my father about a man she was seeing. Once, I heard him plead, "If you bring him here, Laura, I swear I'll leave." She laughed, her voice slurred. "You? Leave me? You're nothing, James." Her words cut deep, and I noticed my father growing quieter, his shoulders heavy with an unseen weight. One night, I found him on the porch, staring at the waves, a cold coffee in his hand. "Dad, are you okay?" I asked, my voice shaking. He forced a smile. "I'm fine, Olivia. Just look after Noah, all right?" I knew he was hiding his pain, and it killed me to see him fading. I started keeping a secret journal, noting every drunken outburst, every bruise on my father's body. I hid it under my mattress, hoping one day it might help free us. But I was just a teenager, powerless against my mother's rage and the cruelty of fate. Then came the day that broke me. It was a rainy November afternoon when I got home late from the library, working on a history project. The house was too quiet, no TV, no Noah's laughter, no humming from my father in the kitchen. Just my mother, slumped on the couch, an empty vodka bottle at her feet. She looked up, her eyes dull. "Your dad," she mumbled. "He fell off the porch." My stomach dropped. "Fell?" I whispered. "What did you do to him?" She lurched to her feet, grabbing my arm. "Don't you dare accuse me. He fell, you hear me?" She shoved me back, muttering about needing another drink. I ran to the hospital, heart pounding. There, I found Noah in the waiting room, clutching a toy boat my father made, his eyes red. "Olivia, Dad won't wake up," he sobbed, clinging to me. The nurse led me to my father's room. He lay still, his face pale, bruises stark against his skin. The doctor explained he'd suffered a head injury from the fall. "We tried everything," he said softly. "I'm sorry." I stood there, holding his cold hand, the warmth that once comforted me gone. I wanted to scream, to confront my mother, but I was frozen. Noah hugged me, crying, and I whispered, "It'll be okay, Noah, I'll protect you." But I didn't believe it. The days after were a blur of grief. My mother planned my father's funeral, but her tears felt hollow, her breath sour with alcohol. Neighbors whispered about the tragic accident, but their eyes held suspicion. I wanted to shout that my father didn't just fall, that my mother was to blame, but my journal wasn't enough proof. I was just a kid, and the law didn't listen to kids like me. The night after the funeral, I lay awake, my father's last words echoing. "Olivia, you're my strength. Keep going." It felt like a weight I couldn't carry. I began to suspect my mother's affair with a man named Ethan had something to do with it. I'd overheard her yelling at my father. "You think I don't know you're jealous of him?" His voice broke as he replied, "Laura, you're tearing us apart." Did she push him to silence him? The question haunted me. I searched her room when she was passed out, finding an old phone with text to Ethan. "James knows too much," one read. "I'll deal with it," another said. My heart raced, but I knew it wasn't enough to convict her. I told my English teacher, Miss Carter, everything. She listened, her face heavy, but said, "Olivia, you need solid proof. Those texts aren't enough." Her words stung, but I knew she was right. I was helpless, and my father was gone. 2 weeks later, my mother brought Ethan home. He strutted in, laughing with her as if my father never existed. I stood in the kitchen, fists clenched. "Who's he?" I demanded. Her eyes narrowed. "This is Ethan. He's staying. If you don't like it, leave." Her words cut deep. I wanted to fight, but Noah's scared eyes stopped me. Our home felt alien, reeking of Ethan's cologne and my mother's liquor. Ethan was everywhere. On the porch where my father told stories, in the kitchen where he cooked for us. He barked orders at Noah, scolding him when my mother wasn't around. Noah's fear tore at me. I promised him every night, "We'll get out, Noah. I won't leave you." But I didn't know how. It all exploded one Friday night, a month after the funeral. I'd been working at a local bookstore, saving every penny to escape with Noah. I came home to find Ethan yelling at Noah for dropping a juice glass. "You're as useless as your father," he snapped. Noah stood frozen,